One of the most pressing questions Japan is facing is how to restructure its post-economic and business system in a rapidly changing external and internal environment. Globalization is a key phrase that describes the direction in which the Japanese economy is heading. There are, however, many problems that Japan must overcome in order to win the trust of the global community. For a long time, internationalization was associated with westernization or Americanization in Japan. Japan brought what it saw as a necessary product of Western culture, science, and technology, and used them to pursue its own development or for its own benefit. However, the current trend of rapid globalization demands that Japan must assume its relevant economic and political responsibilities in order to achieve world peace and prosperity. Globalization is a process in which individual lives and local communities are affected by economic and cultural forces that operate worldwide. In fact, it is a process of the world becoming a single place. Globalism is the process of the world as a function result of the process of globalization upon local communities. The word global has had a rapid rise since mid-1980s, up until which time the word international was preferred. The rise of the word international itself in the 18th century indicates the growing importance of territorial states in organizing social relations. It can be defined as the early consequences of the worldwide perspective of European imperialism. Similarly, the rapidly increasing interest in globalization reflects a changing organization of worldwide social relations in this century. The nation has begun to have a decreasing importance as individuals and communities. Gaining access to global shared knowledge and culture are affected by economic realities that come and go over the boundaries of the states. The basic structure of globalization is a nationalism, on which the concept of internationalism is based. Globalization occurs when people in national framework are affected by global economy and communication. Part of the complexity of globalism comes from the different way in which globalization is approached. Some analysts embrace it enthusiastically as a positive feature of a changing world in which access to technology, information, services, and the market will be of benefit to local communities. They believe that by globalization, dominant form of social organization will lead to universal prosperity, peace, and freedom. They even expect that perception of global environment will lead to global ecological concern. For this group, globalism is a term for value in which treats global issues as a matter of personal and collective responsibility. Others reject it as a form of domination by advanced countries over developing ones, in which individual distinction of culture and society become erased by an increasingly homogeneous global culture in which local economies are more firmly incorporated into a system of global capital. For this group, globalism is a political doctrine which provides, explains, and justifies an interlocking system of world trade. We can see them almost every night on TV news. Thousands of refugees who have chosen to cross international borders to save their lives. What is causing the enormous flood of refugees? The answer is threefold. First, millions of people are trying to escape from political violence. Second, hunger is driving millions more from their homeland, especially in northern and eastern Africa. And third, there are over 10 million environmental refugees. These people can no longer live on their own land because of the drought, floods, or the environmental problems. In today's world, a larger number of people than ever before are asking for political asylum in other countries. One reason for this is the bad economic situation in much of the world. In bad times, people often point to minority groups as the cause of their trouble. Another reason, surprisingly, in the end of the Cold War until the late 1980s, communist governments in Eastern Europe and the USSR did not approve of religious or political oppression, and they did not allow racial or national conflicts. But as communists fell and the former Soviet Union broke up, old ethnic anger and hatred began to appear and then to explode. through a combination of immigration and difference in birth rate among ethnic groups. Many countries in Western Europe are experiencing changing the ethnic and cultural composition. There are various reactions to these developments. At the end of the range are the radical cosmopolitans who view nation-state and national identity as dangerously old-fashioned. At the other end are the ethnic nationalists who wish to define the priority of their own nation against all newcomers. My own position lies between these extremes. Immigration on a modest scale brings benefits in the form of diversity and the new ideas. But the pace of the present transformation in Europe worries me. I believe it inevitably invites conflict. I also believe that the nation and historical communities have thus the right to shape their own collective future as they see fit, to resist developments that gradually injure their identity and the sense of community. I do not believe that the national identity can or should be remained at all will by cosmopolitans and elites to be consistent with its own vision of how the world should be.